I had just said right before we went on the air, it's amazing that free enterprise system lasted as long as it has, because everybody kind of knows why it works or that they believe in it, but they don't know exactly how it works or why they believe in it. You will after the end of the program tonight. I want to start in 1945. The guns had finally drawn silent in Western Europe. The bombs had stopped falling. The skies were no longer filled with the scream of the fighter planes. The invasions were over. The battles were finished. The Allied forces had won. World War II was over. But this was not the end. This was the beginning of what we're facing right now. Perhaps, maybe even a more important war was just beginning in 1945. Europe was decimated politically, structurally. They faced the daunting task of starting over from scratch. They had the opportunity to start over from the beginning, clean slate. Unfortunately, it was a confused time. Americans had just come off the Great Depression. Many believed it was caused by the evil, greedy capitalist system. That's what our people had been taught here since 1933, 31. The question that loomed largest over many countries around the entire globe and here in America is, what do we do now? Now what? I mean, it was an economic collapse, they thought, that caused all of this. Should we risk another economic collapse? How about if we let the government control the economy? Sure, I know fascism and a dictatorship is bad because it led to Mussolini, but a lot of people back then thought Mussolini was okay until the very end. Hitler. Okay, there was a really bad example of Hitler, but maybe it was just the wrong guy running the economy. The eventual deciding factor in the war after the war came from a very unlikely source. He was an unknown. He was originally from Vienna. His name was Friedrich A. Hayek. I bring him up today because he's kind of an aha moment for a lot of people. We're in a similar war today, but if you don't know history, you don't know about this man. If you don't know history, you can't make the decisions that we need to make. Starting in the early 1940s, Hayek began writing a little book called The Road to Surfdom. The book clearly and logically explained how any form of central government planning usually leads to serfdom or servitude, slavery. It extinguishes freedom. He wrote this because he couldn't understand why Great Britain was doing this. He didn't do it because of fortune or notoriety. In fact, it was the opposite. Material like this was banned everywhere. Germany banned it. He was writing it because he considered it, and to quote him, a duty which I must not evade, end quote. He believed that there was a real possibility that Europe and America would move in the same direction as fascist Italy, or Germany without the mustache, or Stalin. After all, England had been, in bed with a Fabian socialist, and England was starting to do all of the nationalized stuff. If you don't know what the Fabian socialists are, you look them up. The Fabian socialists are kind of like our evil early 20th century progressives. George Bernard Shaw, who I showed you in our documentary, The Revolutionary Holocaust, he was a Fabian socialist. Give you a little taste of what they believed. Here he is.
I don't want to punish anybody, but there are an extraordinary number of people whom I want to kill. I think it would be a good thing to make everybody come before a properly appointed board, just as he might come before the income tax commissioner, and say every 5 years or every 7 years, just put him there and say, sir or madam, now will you be kind enough to justify your existence?